No, this is not Keith Thurman trying out for Hell's Kitchen. Alright, the reason for this picture. Alright, I'll get to it in a sec. This is Boxing Chat. Let's get started. Hey guys, my name is Harry Dell, and this is Boxing Chat. Alright, so let's get started with, let's talk about Keith Thurman. Keith One Time Thurman is probably the most dangerous welterweight right now. And let me tell you why. Keith Thurman has been, for the majority of his career, known as, a power puncher. He's going to look for the knockout. He's going to knock you out. He's going to look for that one punch to take you out. But as his opposition has, gone up in difficulty, and his fights are getting harder, and he's not fighting, like tomato cans. And before you guys start saying like, wait, he hasn't fought like the best either. He's in the middle right now. All right, let me just say that he's not fighting tomato cans, and he's not fighting top class either. He is just in the middle, and he's aware of that. He knows. But with that being said, he's fighting good fighters, fighters that are pushing him to do something that we didn't know he had, and that is boxing ability. He can box and punch. And the reason for the title, where it says Fillet and Fry, alright, let me put it like this. Keith Thurman, what he does to his opponents is he starts to box. He's boxing you. He's going to outbox you. He's going to fillet you, if you know what I mean, before he throws you into the pan. He doesn't just, fry you and throw you in the deep fryer just yet. Like earlier in his career when he could do that. He could take guys out with one punch. No, he's going to fillet you. He's going to outbox the shit out of you. Then, when he knows you're ready, he's going to turn into a puncher, where he's going to finish you off, and he's going to fry your ass. So you get what I mean? Fillet and fry. Alright, he's going to prepare you by outboxing you. He's going to prep you nice. Nice and easy. And then he's just going to finish you off. He's going to fry your ass. He has been showing boxing skills, offense, defense, and that surprised me. He has footwork. When I first started watching Keith Thurman, I was like, wow, he could punch. He has a strong punch. Although, he was always kind of looking. He was obviously looking for the knockout, and sometimes he took a little longer to get it because, instead of just taking his time, he'll just kind of really try to finish you off, and that sometimes doesn't really work against guys that are a little more slick. Sometimes guys that are just real stubborn that don't want to get knocked out. But you learn that early on in your career. You learn that, and Keith Thurman is aware of that. Despite having a lot of power, he knows he has to outbox, his opponents, and then when he knows you're ready, he's gonna turn into a puncher where he's gonna finish you off, and with no mercy. Now let me just give a quick shout out to my boy 78 over there in 78 Sports TV here on YouTube. I listened to to his interviews he's had with Keith Thurman, his several interviews he's had with Keith, and just listening to Keith Thurman, he he sounds like straight up, he's not about the bullshit, and he really wants to be the best welterweight out there. And he also says that he wants to be, going down as, a legendary fighter. Down the road when he's retired, he wants to be known as, one of the greatest. Um, and you know, I respect that because I mean, I honestly believe that he's really not doing this for the money. It honestly sounds like he really wants to just you know carve his name in stone for when it's all said and done, when he's retired, when he's out of the game, that people will still remember him, not only as a good fighter, but a great fighter, as one of the greatest of all time. That's what he wants to be known for. Um, and I feel like he's well on his way. He's got a long way to go. He just turned 25. Um, and according to him, he said he has not peaked yet. You know, he is still improving. He's still got a lot of room to grow. He says he's willing to grow, which is a good thing. And, whenever he gets that title shot, by the time he gets that title shot, he will have earned it the old school way. Not by having a name, not by having, you know, all the right connections, but simply just by beating everybody that is put in front of him. And I feel like a lot of people are bashing Keith Thurman because, oh, he's fighting a bunch of tomato cans and he ain't fighting nobody. Who has he fought? But you have to acknowledge what Keith Thurman has been doing from the beginning of his career to now. What has he done? How has he improved? That's what you got to look at when you're looking at a fighter. You're not looking at how the fuck he's facing. You don't look who the fuck he's knocking out. You look at him. You look at him and what he's doing. You look to see if he's correcting his mistakes, if he's, he's getting rid of his bad habits, if he's improving in certain areas, if he's learning how to deal with situations, like, because in the pros, all these things could happen. You could just assume that you're gonna blaze through everybody or outbox everybody, and that doesn't always work out. And he has really improved tremendously throughout his career. And still very young, and he's still got a long career ahead of him. And people got to recognize it. The first time I heard about, Keith Thurman was, as far as hearing about what he's all about and stuff like that, and who's the real welterweight that's dangerous in the game, was on 78 Sports TV. He was talking about Keith Thurman before anybody even knew who Keith Thurman was, before he was a popular boxer to talk about. He was already talking about Keith and saying that he's the real deal and he's the truth. So let me give a shout out to 78 for knowing his boxing, because he knows. He studies all these fighters. He knows who's the hype and who's not. So that's great. 78 Sports TV, keep it up. Keep up the great work. Let me give another shout out to another channel, Bayloric. Now, there was an interview he had with Keith Thurman, and if you have not checked it out, go ahead and check out that video. It's a very good interview. When you go to my activity, it's under one of the liked videos that I have, and it's a great interview because Keith Thurman is he's acknowledging the fact that people in the media, online, the fans, questioning him as far as, hey, he's not fighting anybody. He's not fighting nobody. What top class fighters has he faced? Has he beat? Keith Thurman is aware that he is still going under this testing phase in his career. And he said himself, hey, pretty soon they're gonna be running out of tests to give me, because I'm just gonna like start really giving it to all these guys that don't deserve to be in the ring with him, that don't belong in the ring with him, because he's gonna be taking these guys out, and he's gonna eventually just get his moment and have his break, in a big fight. He's got an upcoming fight with Diaz on the 26th, his first main event. So I'm glad Golden Boy put Keith Thurman as the main event, because they could have just gone with Lucas Matisse being the main event, because Lucas Matisse has a little more of a name, I guess, because he was on the Mayweather Canelo undercard as the co-main event, so people know Matisse a little, I guess, a lot more, depending on where you're at and where you're from. Of course, he has his Argentinian fans, but they went with Keith Thurman for the main event. So Golden Boys, hey, I guess they're starting to make the right moves to get him to where he needs to be. And for all the haters and for all you Kell Brook fans that are saying, hey, if you guys say that Kell Brook's hyped, well then Keith Thurman, he's the hyped American boxer at welterweight. And if you guys are talking shit about Kell Brook being the hyped, welterweight from England, Keith Thurman is that version of no, stop it. Don't even fucking go there. Kell Brook, fucking, are you serious? Watch, I'm gonna make a video of him pretty soon, just pretty much dissecting the shit out of him. He makes a lot of mistakes against poor opposition. But anyways, I'm moving on back to Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman, he's got the guts to be a really great fighter. And by no means am I saying he's the greatest and he's the greatest I've ever seen. I'm just saying he's really, he's really a welterweight and a future champ to look out for. I'm telling you guys. It feels like he's the real deal. He was Prospect of the Year in 2012, I believe. And he's going places. We'll have to see at the end of this year where it all leads up, because he made it well aware that he doesn't want to be facing these little tests and these fighters that aren't bringing much to the table as far as credentials, because Diaz, he's a former champ. He feels like he can knock Keith Thurman out. But I mean, it is Diaz. He's, I mean, I'm not like completely writing him off, but Keith Thurman is, of course, the heavy favorite in this fight coming up. But anyways, without going on too long, Keith Thurman, he's doing good right now, and he's got a long career ahead of him. So I'm excited for the future, as far as his career goes. And hopefully him and Sean Porter can meet up, when they're both, household names, when they both have, a huge fan base, because they were talking about pairing them, putting them together, facing each other, for, it was going to be, probably in April, but, Malignaggi got the fight with Porter. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, that'd be a good fight. That'd be actually a great fight. But, I was thinking about, I was like, fuck, instead of having these young, lions, kind of eliminating each other early, because they both want that Mayweather shot. I mean, they've both said it, that they want that shot at Mayweather. And they figured, instead of eliminating each other, let Porter build his name up, let him, be a recognized figure in boxing, and let Keith Thurman do the same, and then eventually meet up in a mega fight where everybody's talking about it. I think that's smart, and we could be seeing that, probably towards, depending on how this year goes, possibly, you know, maybe the end of the year, maybe the end of 2015. Who knows? Regardless if they don't ever get a shot at Mayweather, you know, these two guys facing each other will be a hell of a fight. But anyways, without going on too long, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Um, until next time, see you later.